Welcome to Kranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Kranky, and this is the Kranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Kranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Kranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Kranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And thanks for joining me. Glad you could join me this evening. Drew, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'm sure others will join as we go along the stream. I am fortunate this evening to have with me, I'm going to be interviewing Rudolph Speid, who, as you know, wear a lot of hats in Jamaica. As a professional businessman, as a sports management personnel, and a leader in the community, both for Cavaliers, the JFF. I know he's involved in volleyball, netball, so you can see he spreads his wings wide and with a lot of breadth, actually. And I'm pleased to have him here this evening. And let me bring him on. We can start the discussion. Rudolph, good night. I said good night because I know where you are is dark, so I know it's evening. And first of all, I appreciate you being here because I know you are in Europe, and I know it's what, 2 o'clock in the morning?
No, 12.
12? So it's only a 6-hour difference. Okay, 12 o'clock. All right, still late. Well, late for me anyway, because I know I'm going to go to bed by 11 o'clock. So late for me. So
well, 7 hours in for Jamaica, but 12.
Yes, 7 for
you.
Jamaica. Yes. So how are you doing? How are you doing this evening?
I'm good.
Right. So as you know, I started this YouTube thing because I've been on a lot of different channels and decided, you know what? I need to join the fray and do my own thing. So you're my first guest actually on the panel or in the studio. I had people call in last night to the show, a number of individuals called in, but you're the first person I've had live. So that's something you can check off, because when the channel get big, you can check it and say, boy, I was the first guest.
Probably send you a bill to and say,
you got right to the money. As an accountant, you got right to the money part. But look, I know it's late. I don't want to keep you too late, but I have a lot of questions. And I'm sure I'll get questions from the comment section also. Mm-hmm. My first question, well, here's what I'll do this, a little bit different interview, because normally when you are on these programs, you're talking a lot about the JFF or Cavaliers. But I want to learn about Rudolph the person, who you are as an individual. And I'm going to do like a famous YouTuber in Jamaica does, saying early childhood. So talk me through your early childhood. We do this chronologically, and I'll plug in questions as we go along. So place of birth, and can you share some memories from your early childhood that has a significant impact on you?
Right. So I was born in Linstead, St. Catherine. So I'm really from St. Catherine. At the early years, I very early, I went to live in Maypen, probably for 6 months. I don't remember. I don't know how long I lived in St. Catherine, to be honest. I never asked. But then I moved to Portland, and that's where I've been until about I was 18, going 19. Then I relocated and came to Kingston to live, and I've lived in Kingston ever since. So that is where I am. I attended, prep school wherever I would live. Not prep school, basic school. They didn't have prep school those times.
Primary school?
No, primary school was Windsor Castle, all age. It wasn't even a primary, it was an all age. That time you went until grade 3rd form. When you passed all age, you could go to 3rd form. I mean, I did common entrance from those days. And then I went to Titchfield High. So I went to Titchfield High and did 6th form there before I migrated to Kingston.
Before we reach all the way up, what were your interests hobbies and interests growing up? What were you interested in?
Well, when I was, I can remember my years in Windsor Castle more than anything else. Before that, sometime I live in Port Antonio or Belcast, wherever my grandparents or my parents was. I usually lived there for periods
Right.
of time. But when I was going to school, like in Windsor Castle, yeah, I did everything. I mean, it was all age school, so I did football, cricket, tracks, whatever the school was doing, I was just a part of it. Whatever the
So
school
you
was
say
doing.
do them. Were you any good? Because I tell people I do them too, and that's the first thing they ask me. So were you any good at these things?
In retrospect, I represented the school in all. We
Oh,
didn't
okay,
play
so
a
you're
lot.
decent then. You're decent then.
Yeah. I represent the school in all. I mean, in retrospect, I probably should have taken up track and field because when I used to run with some of the better athletes, sometimes I usually beat them. But I just never used to train for athletes. I just thought it was just too hard. And I started to play in cricket, and I was a decent wicket keeper, very decent. But then
How about
again,
batting? I said we can keep it. Let's catch the ball. How about batting? We can keep a bat about 6'7", so you know. How was the batting? Can't just catch the ball alone. You have to catch it with something else.
it's more of a wicket keeper than a batsman. I was a wicket keeper batsman, not a batsman wicket keeper. That I can say. But that was
Okay.
pretty decent too. But my biggest problem was that the game took the whole day. That's a cricket game. That's why I quit. I couldn't be bothered playing for one whole day. And I stuck to football ever since.
Right. So who were your major influences in your life? You talked about from going from formative school, all age school, high school. As you go through that journey, what were the major influences, both in terms of academics and also from an athletic standpoint?
I don't know if we had any one person that stand out. I remember Donald Davis, who is Teagat Davis' brother. He was the coach at Teachfield High School, and we were very impressed with him as a coach. I was. When it comes to academics, the good thing about it, in those days, you used to have what you call a posse, right? So everybody had a posse. And so my posse was we played sport, but so like Kingsley Chin was in our posse, the guy that the doctor, is a renowned doctor, and he was the top striker in school at the time.
Right.
So but we had some other people like Dr. Miller who did athletics, and then we would do sports and then go back to school in the nights to study. So the good thing about our posse was that everybody wanted to get an A in some subject, and that was really good for us because that time if you get one or two A, you're bright, very bright in a school, the O level or A level. Not like no. Now
Yeah,
if you get
you're
one
about
or
to
two
age
A,
now.
then you're bright. Hmm?
Yeah.
So that was one of our biggest thing all over. Jacks, as people would say, boy, our thing was something. I forget at least one day. So we tried to specialize, and everybody would go back to school and study. So our posse was just unique. It wasn't the posse that gave trouble. We worked together doing and
Right.
form up some sort of defense against the other posse themselves. Nobody would really trouble us because we are sports people, but sports minded and we're physical. But
Right.
our posse had other interests, and I think that worked out for us.
So why accounting? And let me ask the question. I went to Rusty's, I went to KC. And when I went to school in Jamaica, which is around your time, I can tell you this. If you didn't do law or you didn't do medicine and engineering, then that was it. I never thought about doing accounting, going to be an accountant. So why accounting? Because I don't think, maybe in your school they did, but not in the schools that I went to.
Yeah, we did have a business segment, and it was a big problem in school when I switched after third form, because I was one of the top students up to third form in the physics and the maths and the chemistry and the bio. I was one still. I was blessed with do good schoolwork from I was going to primary school. And when I switched to business, it was a big problem in the school. Everybody came and said, I mean, why you're switching? It took the head of the business segment to come down to me. It was just a big thing. I said, Speed, just stick to it, because I tell you something can go out. So I did maths and English, and I did accounts, and I did economics, and I did principle of business. So I definitely just switched to business. I did law and those type of topic. So probably people thought I was gonna be more of a lawyer more than even an accountant, to be honest. But
Well,
one
you
of the
act like one
main
sometimes, so you act like one sometimes, so it's not surprising.
Yeah, one of the main reasons, well, I did a lot of law papers afterwards, and I'll explain. But one of the real reasons, though, why I switched was economics, because I saw that most doctors had to study for 7 years. My parents just couldn't afford it. My parents had 5 of us going to high school at one time, and I know that they couldn't afford to send me to university for 7 years. So I said, you know what, better me switch to something that is more practical.
So back up, because we didn't talk about this at all. We jump ahead. You have 4 brothers and sisters, or mixed between how many sisters and brothers?
Right, I had 3 sisters and 1 brother, and all of us was going to high school at the same time. And that time, you had to pay, right, to go to high school. Luckily, in the middle of all of that, the government came with free education. That really kind of saved us, I think.
Yeah.
My people have managed.
Yeah, interesting. So you now transition to accounting. So why accounting though? You're in business, right? And you decided to do business. Did you want to specialize in accounting or say business management? Why being accountant?
No, at that time we just wanted to rack up O levels and RSAs and A levels. It didn't matter to me at the time really what I was going to end up finally doing. But remember, as I said, we're in this posse and you had to get A's. So I was just interested in just trying to be the best student I could be. So I wasn't even sure what I was going to come out with. I was thinking maybe I would become a bank teller. I really don't know. The accounting wasn't defined yet, but I knew that if I did accounting and economics and did very well, I did English, I thought, I'd set up myself for the business side, where I wouldn't have to go to work. Sorry, I have to go to university and spend 7 years to become something. That's all I was thinking about.
So tell me about the accounting journey, and we'll come back to the sports journey. But walk me through the accounting business journey.
All right. So one of the things that I was very famous for, I think, when I was growing up, was reading. I read everything. I read a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean I would probably I'd take a bus to go to school, and the bus take like an hour and 58 minutes. I would probably read half a book, even when I'm standing. Because in those days, sometimes you don't get a seat, you have to stand in the bus. Those Leland bus. And I'd probably read half a book. So I read every Nancy Jew, every Hardy Boy, every Babsy Twins, every Death Merchant, every Louis L'Amour. I read every book. Once I see a book, I read it. So, I did well at school. As I say, I went to sixth form. Didn't know what I was going to do. Played the Costa Cup. Didn't know what I was going to do after that. And one day I was in a tree reading. As usual, I would climb a tree and have a book there reading. And I have a grand aunt. She came to visit, and they were asking her about. She was asking for me, and I was telling her like, yeah, him pass him, salute him, and whatever. And then there was this gentleman named Selvin Evans. I can't forget him. He's from Portland, but he was the accountant at the Gleaner. And she was the one who came to him and said, I have a nephew. You need to speak to him because I hear you have a vacancy at the Gleaner. And she called and told me to come in the next day. I didn't even finish my A levels. I was still studying for A levels. And when I went through the interview, him just said, come to work the next day. And that's how I end up at the Gleaner. And when the other people were saying to give me a test, he was saying, give which test? See what the man have. So he was very impressed with me, the subjects that I did in business. And I just got to work as an accounting clerk at the Gleaner, just like that, without even applying for a job.
Wow. And that was nepotism. That wasn't because you knew somebody who would give you an introduction, but it was your accomplishment in the academic arena that allowed you to get that job. So how long were you in for?
Yeah, I think so. And based on the qualifications too, I was probably really more qualified than a lot of persons who were working there in the same department, because they would employ hundreds of clerks, hundreds.
Oh, okay. And those days, Gleaner was very big actually in that time.
Yeah, very big.
Was it all the newspaper then, wasn't it? Because Observer came later.
Yeah, Observer came after. But remember, you had like Daily News who came and closed. So there was somebody around the place. I don't remember.
Yeah. But Gleaner was the most popular newspaper though.
Definitely, in the Caribbean.
By good distance. Yeah, by good distance actually. Mm-hmm. And so if you think about that journey, so you worked at Gleaner for how long?
All my life. Basically, I left there for I worked there for 9 years first, right?
Right.
And at the same time, I was studying to become a chartered accountant, because you didn't have to go to university to become a chartered accountant. The auditors are a conglomerate which they themselves train you, right? But you have to do the exam, some English exam. The exam was from England, but they would train it themselves, right? The audit firms, they would come together and train everybody who wanted to be a chartered accountant under the ICAJ. So I was studying with them and working. So I worked for Gleaner. I think it's about 7 years first, and I did get a lot of promotion. So it kind of worked out. Almost every 2 year, me step up somewhere till I was like a supervisor in the budgeting department, and then I left and went to Wesimco. When I went to Wesimco, Gator Limited, that's a division that makes shoes. I stayed there about 3 years. Then I came back to Sangster Bookstores, which was a subsidiary of the Gleaner. And I stayed there for probably another 3 years before I was promoted back to Gleaner as the chief accountant. And I worked with the Gleaner since up until 2017. I was always there, maybe 30 years,
30 years at one organization. That's applaudable. Here's a question for you though. As you go through your experiences there, and you have your own company now, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I developed the research.
I have companies.
Wait. So let's not talk on your bread about what you have. You have companies, you're saying. So you're loaded by YouTube. They have company, right. And you're like.
But all right. So at the Gleaner, I see before you reach it, at the Gleaner.
Yes.
Actually, Gleaner had 20 companies, really subsidiaries, and I ran most of them. Even although Oliver Clark, was the managing director, I ran most of the subsidiaries. So we had a gas station. I mean, one time we owned a boat. We had 3 companies overseas in UK, Canada, and the US. We had 3 companies overseas. Well, 4 really. There was and I was the person who literally run those. We had like Sangster Bookstores, was the biggest bookstores in the Caribbean. I ran that. There's a popular printers that print the race track. So I ran that too. Plus there was some factoring company. I ran all of those subsidiaries basically for the Gleaner. And that's where I got most of my experiences in businesses, because it was so diverse. There's hardly any business that you can think of that and we had property companies too that I hadn't run one. And like the pension scheme, I was a trustee. I'm still a trustee on the Gleaner pension scheme up to this day. So you just kind of give you an idea of the amount of experiences that I got running all of those companies. It was far-reaching, varied, international. Everything was there.
And you mentioned something earlier which I think interesting, which is, you're right. Growing up in Jamaica way back when, a lot of people transition from high school to the work environment, not necessarily high school to college to the work environment. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you don't have to go to college to achieve a lot in life, frankly, because it's all about the person's intellect and how they develop themselves and how to develop. So along that journey, did you have mentors? What are some of the challenges that you face? And what's some career experience you can share with us that informed you as a person as you go through that whole process of being a leader or a manager?
Well, the most striking thing when I was at the Gleaner was, the most striking thing in my career, I've never applied for a job. Never, ever.
It makes it sound like you have it easy, Is it because you're that good, or because you have a sponsor?
No, it's not any sponsor. I work hard, and nothing is too far away. Anything that can be achieved, I always do. I remember when they had the bids account, when people used to bid for money, remember there was a long time you had to bid for money at BOJ before they allocate to the bid, and then they give you back the money that they don't give you. I mean, I remember every single position that came up for grabs in the accounting department at the Gleaner, I used to get that promotion, right? Because I really work hard and long hours, anything that is required. I am your man. I never believe that anything can be done, not care how hard it is. So when other people would have failed, I am the one who they give the job to and say, okay, we need to get this done. Just like Sangster Bookstores, when they had an issue, they asked me to become the managing director of Sangster Bookstores, and I was the managing director for 3 years. So I think it's because of how people see me approach job work, progressive, try to do the best, let the people have confidence in me. So, but Christopher Roberts, coming from, and he was my manager at the Gleaner, coming from, you know, Portland, even though I struggle with the English language sometimes, he was one of the person who took a liking to me, and he's a Caucasian, and he said, "Speed, I'm going to send it to the Dale Carnegie course." You see, as you say, I don't have no skills. I have the skills, I just don't choose to use it. It was like how to win friends and influence people, public speaking. He sent me to all of this.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
I know.
We'll come back to that, but keep going. Start interrupting, but keep going.
Right. So he sent me to all of these Dale Carnegie course, which really helped me a lot because I was so shy. That was one of my biggest problems. I was so shy I wouldn't speak in public, etc. Until he sent me to that course and a lot of other course how to deal with situations. But I thought that was one of the big emphasis. The other thing is that he was then Oliver Clark from I went there basically 18, 19, Christopher Roberts, Evans, they were the finance people. They just had this faith in me, which I don't know where it come from. I was like controlling all the money from early age, like before I was 20. I am the one who make all the payments, and even after a while, their personal, money, they would ask me to look at their personal financial statement, etc. Because they just had that trust in me. Even though I still sign on some of the bank accounts that the old Gleaner company has, and I've left there for over 7 years. That's the type of trust that they have in me. And that is one of the, I don't know where it come from, but before Mr. Clark died, I knew have a conversation, and I would say, "Speed, me, you're like my friend now, not a worker anymore. You're like my friend," because they always could trust me to do whatever they wanted to bring across. And if you wanted anything done, you was just a Speed, I want that done, and you didn't have to tell me how to get it done. I'll just get it done. And unfortunately, as I say, I've been rubbed shoulders with a lot of important people in Jamaica that know my name. I can go into the office and talk to them about everything. So that's my journey, and partly because I'm Mr. Clark still, because he would not leave me out of anything we're going to meeting. I'll be there with him with the biggest names you can think of. I'll be there in meetings with them because of him or Mr. Roberts, and they show me that respect and always show me make people understand that, listen, this is the man I trust. Whatever you have to say it to him in front of my face, etc., etc. So I think that has been my experiences with those two gentlemen more than anything else, are the ones who shape.
So you would say those two individuals are both mentors and sponsors, I would assume.
They didn't know me from anywhere, until I reached there. It's really Selvin Evans camp.
No, but I'm talking about through that journey, right? Because you started with
those would have been me too. Yeah.
So here's a question.
So I remember we were there was a pension fund to wind up, and people were taking like 8 years, and some people take 20 years, like here Jamaica, for wind up the pension fund. And I remember we were winding up one, and they called me and said, "Speed, you are the one that I want to wind up." And of course, I did it in a year. 1 year I paid everybody in 1 year, and they will say, "Okay, who is gonna source now?" I tell you, when it comes to doing things, I just get things done, and then no. There's other things that I can't mention here to that they ask me to. But when they want things to be done,
we don't want to get into trouble.
No, it's not illegal. But I'm the one.
I understand what you're saying. You make decisions which are tough, which may not well be received by the audience. So I have a question for you. You worked at the Green for such a long time, because me and talk about the people's skills, right? So most managers will tell you, most people leave jobs because of their boss. Not disputable. Most people leave their work, they leave because of their boss. Written, proven. So if you worked at a place for 30 years, you must have gotten along with your bosses, and you must know how to engage those bosses. But not only that, because you elevated yourself in the company, you had to manage people. So what were you like as a boss?
Well, right. And I was a supervisor from 22, actually.
Right.
I thought one of the things with me as a boss, and you see, as you say, I am always the first person to promote young people. If the average age to promote an assistant accountant was 40, I'll be promoting 29-year-olds or 30-year-olds. Sorry, yeah. And I think that is one of the, and I was the one who always give people chances. So like a lot of people start out as messenger, and I'll be the one that put them in report a job or, you know, improve their lives by promoting them into position that I think they can manage, because some of them come with qualifications too, you know. So I think that is one of the reasons why most people that work at Gleaner would say, oh, them have a certain amount of love for me. And then I was firm but fair in terms of like I would do negotiations for wages, salaries, everything, but I was firm, but I was very fair to everybody who I come across. I think that was one of the best points.
No, and those are great attributes to have. You know, I have teams, I'm still communicating with them and leave a company 10, 12 years ago, because as you said, it's a people business, frankly, when you work out in that environment. And if you're fair to people, if you promote them, if you coach them, if you manage them well, you reap the benefit. You learn along the path, but they also get a lot out of you. So we're not going to transition yet, because you just mentioned, just throw it out there and then you move on, that you have companies. So you left after 30-something years, you're at Gleaner. What are you doing now in the professional arena and corporate arena?
Well, Mr. Clark died. I left before he died, but he had already kind of give up. So I was the person who worked extensively on the merger between the Gleaner and RGR on the financial side. Did probably most all of the work for that merger to take place. When it was finished, of course, we had two different FC. I opted to leave for just one simple reason. When I add up all the money that I was gonna get, I would get more money in my hand at the time than if I work until I was 65.
So this was a severance then, right? This was a severance where they
yeah,
actually
redundancy. No, they didn't ask me. I volunteered, and after
okay.
I volunteered to leave, I worked there for 6 more months because they wouldn't allow me to leave. They said you need to stay here until we're sure. But I was always
you sure you calculated right? You sure you calculated right?
yes, I
normally
did.
you just stay longer, you get more money, you know.
No. I did. And then for somebody who understand money, it was a no-brainer actually.
Right.
Part in good companies. I still up to this trustee and the pension fund. And as I said before, I still sign checks whenever with some old accounts which didn't have anybody else on there. I still sign the checks. You know, me and them have a good relationship. So I have no regrets. I even have my pension already there. Just waiting until I catch the 65 for collect it too. So I have no regrets really.
So they're paying you in US dollars or Jamaican dollars?
No, Jamaica.
Okay. So you're doing your own thing now. You're doing your own thing.
Yeah, partly because I am the managing director for a credit union now, broadcast and allied. I do that, and I have my stuff that I do. But this job, I don't want to talk to you, but it gives me much more time to do what I want to do as an individual. Yeah.
So if you want that job, then if you come out every time you want that job, we can get that job. Come on, we can get that job. That's what you try to tell me.
Most likely.
Yeah, working with
oh,
you.
No, I don't own broadcast and allied credit union now.
Okay.
But I have another company, Rudolph Holdings, which I own, and Cavalier Soccer Club, which I am the major shareholder. So, yeah, I may have one next promotion company we just start. But yeah, those 3 companies we have.
So, how do you get involved in sports management leadership? Because you have Cavaliers, you have JFF. Are you involved in any other sports organization?
Not again. I was the president of volleyball from 2014 to 2020, which I was 1 match away from qualifying for the Olympic beach volleyball Olympics. Unfortunately, we didn't make it. But
so did you fire the coach? I mean, your opposition get fired the other day. They fired the
coach. I tried. No, that coach is not there anymore. But I can't remember if I did fire him or I'm leave.
That's the brutal in Jamaica. If you win a championship 1 year and you come second, you get fired that hard. Okay. Yeah. So you're involved now in football, both for locally for Cavaliers and the JFF.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So what are your main responsibilities at Cavaliers? Because you just said major shareholder. That's also may fall on the radar for some people. And you're also the coach. And you're the JFF. So what are your major roles in those organizations? Do
Right.
they?
So first, you asked me how
Go
me
ahead.
get involved in Cavalier. So
Yes. Sorry.
when I was
Thanks for telling the interviewer how to do this because it's a good thing. So
yes,
go ahead. Go
right.
ahead.
When I was working at Westinco, Gator Limited, a division of Westinco,
Right.
I had a cousin that was living somewhere in Spanish Town in the place name Willardine. And he one day called me, I have some little boys over here. I want you to come help them out because they want some coaching and all that. I wasn't even a coach. I was just I did stop playing for a while, but he know that me involved in a football. So I went over there just okay, let me go and help out. Give back something because I was leaving work early and it's close by.
Right.
And when I went over there, some big men. Big men. One older than me I play on the team. Anyway.
Right.
So I was coaching them for a while, and that is how I started coaching. The first year after we win and get promotion, I got instant success. The player them fight police, one police team and them catch a fight.
That's not good in Jamaica. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, they banned the whole team. So, because I'm sure the policeman were the antagonists doing it, but episode and had to ban our team because you can't have people fight the police. That
is true. That is true.
So they banned the team, and we did come back with the team under a different name after that time. We got promotion again, but after that I went back to Kingston and joined Cavalier and started playing. So I played for Cavalier for about 10 years. And that was, after playing for Cavalier and then Mr. Duncan died, what happened was Cavalier basically was on the verge of being extinct. And one day I just going to watch a major league game, and we just got demoted from major league. So we dropped from Premier League to Super League, Major League, and dropped down to the last division in football in Kingston. That's Cavalier. And then I saw Margaret Sutherland. I hope she listening. And she said to me, why you not coming to register the team? I said, no. I mean, she just knew me as one of the more responsible players, really. And I said, boy, we're not on a team. We probably have about 10 people we can find. And she said, no, man, come register 10 of them and then carry the rest come later. So anything we do in football, she's the one is to blame. And she encouraged me to become an administrator. And so I carried some people to register them and pick up get some more players in a Cavalier. That time we're in the lowest division. And that's how we start out back with Cavalier with very few people. And of course, I went to Andrew Thomas and said, Andrew, I think I'm going to try and start this. But I'm going to be probably coaching and playing. Can you be the president? And him say, yeah, man, now anything for Cavalier. So that is how Andrew became the president. And both of us work with Cavalier from that position up to where we are now.
And yeah, Andrew are opposites. Let me just say that. Andrew work at Gleaner with you, right?
Yes, that's where I know him from.
Yeah, Andrew are opposites. Let me just say tell people that. When we get to that, That's so fun. I had fortunate enough to meet Andrew here. He's a friend of mine in New York. He grew up together with him. So how do you get players for Cavaliers? Look, if you're at the bottom of the barrel, it's hard to get good players. Two questions actually before we even get there. So you were coaching, and we've talked a lot about coaching Jamaica. Where you are now as a coach and where you were been as a coach. So tell me about that coaching you did for the team that played with the police against the police, because I want to know how that worked actually, because I have a view about coaching in the early stage in Jamaica, especially when I grew up, versus no. So give us some perspective on that actually.
Well, first of all, no, I can't really put it in a perspective now because I'm much more learned now. The truth is, those times I was just coaching in chaos. I did not know why I win when I win. I did not know why I lose when I lose. We were just saying you're the coach and you decide. You just make some decisions. But that's really was coaching at that time in my mind. For me, that's how I can just describe it now. And I suspect that is the same for a lot of people.
But then did you have methods, right? You say, when you win on the field, what did you teach the kids? I'm going to call them kids because they probably were late teens, right? Late teens, early 20s?
No. When I started, they were all in their 20s, all like myself.
So you coach big man then, in football sense.
The
so you coach big men and you probably fit them age. When you tell them if you just kick the ball and say run and do some sprints and drink some orange. I never say drink water them time. You eat orange.
Orange half time, but orange half time. But remember, like I said, Donald Davis, who used to coach me at Titchfield, I just copy whatever I see anybody else do. But any coach that coached me before that I think them do anything, I just copy them. I basically that was.
Right. Okay. So do your role evolve at Cavaliers? Because you're bringing them up the ladder now, right? Since you started coaching them, they were evolving and growing and getting better and going back up the ladder.
Yes. But I just think that came from my management skills more than coaching skills. That's what I thought. I mean, I would be organized, have my team on time, pay whatever fee, register on time, make sure people train, and do the basic. Like if you didn't train, I wouldn't give you a game. That sort of thing. I think I was really strict with that. I was also able to provide jobs for a lot of the players that was playing for us. So that again would have made them have some loyalty because they had a paycheck at the end of the week to get, during those times.
Because in those days, companies supported athletes more than, I don't know if they do today, but they supported athletes quite a bit, right? Cricketers used to work for major organizations. They really didn't work. They were on the payroll, basically.
No. Mine had to work because I was the FC at the Gleaner, but I would get jobs in the Gleaner for them. That mostly manual work. Though. Gleaner is pretty labor intensive, some might. So I would get jobs for some of them there, some at Sangsters. So I, and there's other places that I could call some people that I know and get jobs for them. So majority of the players that used to play for Cavalier used to actually work somewhere. So I think that gave them some comfort, and it was easier for me to manage them too because is your man in some cases I'm their manager, not direct supervisor. So I thought our thing is just really management. It definitely wasn't coaching.
What attracted you talk about Cavaliers and you playing them for the 10 years. What attracted you there initially? Because Cavaliers was a good team when I lived in Jamaica. They're a really good team. One of the Cavaliers, Santos, and Duncan was there for a long time. What attracted you to Cavaliers?
And incidentally, I went to all of the other teams. I mean, I remember one finance minister was asking me to come to Arnett to help. I mean, a lot of teams would have asked me to come and help. I was at Santos for a little while training with them. But what really attracted me to Cavalier was Cavalier never went for the stars. They didn't have the show-off players who thought they were bigger than the game. And they were a team that actually worked together in terms of the players. There was a lot of love there from all the players, basically. It's more of a team that you really want to be around because of how the players react with each other. There would be no fight. There would be no people stealing people things. If you lose, everybody sad, but them say, okay, we're training again and then come back again and train. If for long periods we didn't even have anywhere to train because one of the time they were refurbishing Stadium East and chose us out, they didn't even give us notice. And we had to be training over where they used to park the cars. That's where we used to go train at even time. Basically, we were like nomadic, but a lot of players still stuck to the task until we reach where we are now. So that was a big difference between Cavalier and the rest of the teams.
What's the structure of Cavaliers?
Well, Ryan Foster is the chairman. Andrew Thomas is the president. I'm the sporting director. We have paid person. We have a COO, which is paid. We have 4 coaches. And they are doing their B license now. Most of them, my manager was a female as our CONCACAF C. A physio of our CONCACAF C. And then so those would be the paid person, about 7 persons that we actually would have paid. So that's basically is it in a nutshell. We keep a small, about 7 persons that works most of the time. We keep a small staff and small active person. So we have less than 10 persons. We have somebody with our Facebook pages and those things. We have those type of person. So yeah, I think we have about 10 persons who run the Cavalier.
So are these paid positions or are they doing voluntarily?
About 6 to 7 of them get paid. 3 of us don't get paid.
I know you said 3 of us, so you put yourself in number.
Yes.
You had 3.
Yeah.
You didn't say whether you want a major shareholder. So do you benefit though on the other end? Because you may not get a salary, but if the club does well and pay out dividends, you get something, I assume.
Well, we're not in a position to pay dividends yet because We have just broken even the last 5 years. We start break even, and last year we made a little profit, but there was a huge loss coming up all the way since we start.
Right. Now, if I think about the club and how the club operates, you've been. Some people say you can't coach, but the funny thing about that is you keep winning. So, and with the youngest team, so can you connect the dots so we can be confused? If somebody can't coach, they keep winning local football, they get to go play in Kranky Cup. How does that narrative get started? And frankly, why is that the case when the record is averse to what is being said?
Well, it's not just the senior team. If anybody tell you we have won the most youth titles in Jamaica, under 13, under 15, under 17, anything we play.
So how many levels do you have in Cavalier? I should have asked that question actually. I meant to ask it. How many levels?
We have 13, 15, 17, and 20. We hardly get to play under 20 competition now, because nobody wants to play, because Cavalier would feel a Premier League team to play under 20. So since we start when them stop playing under 20, nobody wants to play under 20.
But do you do like England, which is if you are a Sterling or a Palmer and you played under 21, you see a 17, but you go for the senior team, you don't play in the under 21 anymore.
I know, but we would they know that we would still play, because we have that mentality. I mean, it's not just here alone. We went to Cayman and we win a tournament. We include Tottenham Hotspur and teams from the US Dallas. You know, we went to Gotia Cup, we win things there. We go to Mexico, we beat some of the best teams on there. We never really win the tournament. So we have that winning mentality. For the last 7 years in Premier League, one didn't play. We go to semi-final 6 times. We never come less than third. The last 4 times we go to 3 finals. Lots of coach after them play Cavalier then get fired because them carry the narrative to their boss to say Speid can coach and Speid an administrator. Yes, I'm an administrator. I too. But I think because I do so many things well, people put whatever label they want to put on me. But as I said before, as with anything, if I put my mind to it, I'm going to get positive results. And I don't know why they keep on saying it still, but I think they're doing it for this argument's sake some of the time. I don't know why. To be honest, I really don't know why. Because as you said before, the record is there to speak for itself. And the story don't stop yet. We're going to keep going. But I think it's because of my strong presence as an administrator. Because remember, I didn't even tell you that I was a CASAFA president for like 6 years. I was treasurer at CASAFA. I was treasurer at JFF.
While at Cavaliers?
Yes.
Okay.
I was treasurer for JFF, and I've also worked for every single president. Burrell, even though me and him used to quarrel so often, Ricketts and Boxell, I worked for all those president and committee. Matter of fact, Burrell used to have me on more committee than Ricketts. So Ricketts now got nothing. Burrell used to have me like on 4 committee. Competition, technical, education, a lot more committee than what Ricketts have me on. I was treasurer for Boxell after a while too. So I've done a lot of work in football over the years. Some I don't even remember them. I was the one who bought CASAFA building when I was president. That was one of the first building any parish association ever have. I was the one who registered CASAFA as a limited liability company. I did electronic registration first. There's a lot of firsts that I do because I'm that type of progressive person. When I go to an organization, I left it much better than where it was. When I went to volleyball, I actually got them a premises, so the volleyball have a long-term lease on a premises. That's the type of person I am whenever I go to any organization and make sure it gets better.
Right. You mentioned something earlier, which I wanted to touch upon. But you mentioned at the Gleaner for 30 years, you worked hard. But I'll supplement that by saying you can work as hard as you want, but if you don't work smart, you're not going to achieve much, right? So it's got to be hard and smart. And I always tell people this. If someone says, we work hard and should have gotten this, I said, no. How smart did you work? Because you can work hard as anybody can work hard. That's just physical effort and time. But if you're not working smart, you're not going to achieve your objective a lot of times. Let's go back to the football a little bit with Cavaliers. So do you have a recruiting team? Because you mentioned coaches and administrators. Do you have individuals who recruit for Cavalier? How do you source most of your players?
Yeah, I have 2 scouts, and one of the scouts actually we're organized for him to do. He's the only certified scout that I know in Jamaica. He actually has certification that he went out and did courses and get them.
Is this leader?
Leader is one of the best scout ever, but he's not the one. I have another scout.
okay. Your leader, nothing of the other scout. Leader a
Right.
lot.
And I want to make it be and yes, and sometimes people would carry their players to us too because they see the type of program that we have. So some people would want to come to send their kids to Cavalier. So after we got our reputation, people want to send their kids. So it worked both ways. So some people we look, some people scouts bring them, some people would come across, my eyes too, and I would bring them to the club. So it's a lot of different methods we use to get players.
So here's a question for you: what are the qualities you look for in a player? And I preface that by saying, here I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I get involved. I still much involved in the sport, not as much as I used to be, and we have problems a lot of times with player attitudes. In fact, it derails them a lot of times. And so the major teams here and clubs sometimes don't want to engage with certain players, especially even some of the better ones because of their attitudes. So what qualities do you look for in a player? Even though they have the skills, you may not want to engage with them.
Well, every player that some persons carry to Cavalier and tell me, listen, this player I would send him, but him have bad attitude. I always say, send the player come. Because when they come to Cavalier, there's a paradigm shift in whatever they know. First of all, them can't give me no attitude. That's one. And second, when they come, they say players already who are established and actually better than them. So then, or you give somebody attitude better than you. So I think it works fine for us. We don't have attitude problems. There is no fight. There is none of those disruptive behavior, people cursing behavior in our team. And if you're not playing what we want you to play, sometimes I don't have to say anything. The players will say, one thing we can tell you, the coach now again if you continue to play like this. Or them say, listen, we now play with you, if you're not conform. So attitude is not a problem at our club. It just don't happen. No matter how bad the person is, send them here, we don't have no issues with them.
So I have two questions. The first I'm going to say is more about the football. What's your system and style of play at Cavaliers?
Okay, so I have player bias before we come to the style and system. If you're fast, if you come to my train and you're fast and you can't even play, you're probably going to look on you 2 or 3 times. And say me say nothing at all. Once you're blessed with speed. So that is one of our player bias. And I enjoy a game. So don't be fool. I enjoy people who can go past players. I enjoy a game. Right? Because I think that's all a part of the game. Skillful, we look for talent. We have a certain code when it comes to the type of talent that we want to see. There are certain tenets of the game we look for. But one of the main things you can come with Cavalier, work hard and fast, and we look for you a lot of time. As it comes to style of play, yes, we develop a game model, but our game model change depending on the type of player, the best players we have. If you notice, the first year when we win the title in 2021, we were the tiki-taka team. We used to pass the ball around a lot. But at that time, we had like a Topi, we had King, we had Billy, we had people who we have M10, we had people who could really pass the ball. Nico Shea Murray. So once you have those type of players in your squad, the majority of players are ball anglers, then it's easy for you to play a passing game. But then when a lot of these players left, King left, and Topi and Mount Pleasant, a lot of these players leave, and me I end up with Anderson and Webster, I end up with runners. Then me have to switch to a running game. So I am not hard and fast in anything. I have taught my players to beat in a variety of ways. So if you look, during the season we were playing a little deep, playing on the counter, mostly on transition, rack up the points like that. When it comes to the semi-final, we were on the front foot, pressing high up the pitch, shocked everybody because everybody thought they were going to back off, So when we played Mount Pleasant, we were mid-block. We never press high, but we mid-block, So what is taught at Cavaliers to be versatile, and when the coach say, do this one, we just take it out of the bag. That is what we teach at Cavaliers.
That is interesting, actually, because I sometimes criticize coaches at the highest level with their inability to prepare for specific games, right? They have a system and style of play, and they deploy that every single time when the opposition suggests they need to tinker with something. So is it that you find a way to impose yourself on other teams, or you adapt to situations?
No, I always attack their strengths. I never attack their weaknesses. I always attack their strengths. Anything they think is a strength, that's what I
Right.
attack.
Why that philosophy? Because if you're going to attack the strengths and that's very strong, that seems counterintuitive.
No, it's not. Because with every strength, there's a weakness. So let me give it. So like, I mean, I can't give it away because it matter everybody's side. So when I was playing Mount Pleasant, I know that Sule Makala good at inverting, score 7 goals, is their best, most valuable player, good at inverting. I mean, busy against Arnett was playing number 10. Against in the first leg, in the second leg was playing on the left wing. This time we have it on the right wing, because what I wanted Mount Pleasant to understand, every time you move your best player to be an inverted wing back, my best player is right there lurking in that space that you move out of. So you see what I did there? Just make sure I attack them strengths. So then eventually Mafia chase back and then I start wonder, does it make sense me go to play inverted central midfielder? So that's usually what I do, attack people's strength that they think is a strength. And I usually get results because I know they have to change up how they play to try and counter what I'm doing. So instead of I am trying to defend what you're doing, I just attack your strength and make you do the defending. That's really what I'm applying some of the time.
So I'm going to rephrase that actually. You're applying the weakness in their strength. And that may sound like an oxymoron, but it's not. So what you're saying is when you play inverted, you have space because you're leaving a space to play inverted. So I'm going to exploit that space. So every situation you have and every formation you deploy and every strategy you deploy, there is something that will be left open because you can't do every single thing, right? When you're on the field. If you press me, I can play over the top.
Yes.
If you press me high, so what you do is exploit the weakness in their system actually, which they believe is their strength, which people think is their strength, which I think is very, very good to have. And I'm going to go back a little bit and say Arsenal played Man City, I think it was a year or two ago, and we were pressing like a Man City press. And Pep deployed De Bruyne and Haaland on our two center backs, have De Bruyne play off him and play over the top to him. So they two link up, and we all have defense to defend, right? So you exploit the weakness in that press because every system has weakness. So it's a great point you're making, which people sometimes don't realize that you can do that, and it can become a benefit and an attribute for you versus something that's a negative. So good way to think about this.
Well, the person who made football is a genius, No matter what system you play, there's a weakness to it.
Yes,
so I
totally agree.
And that is what I look out for. When you think you're good at something, there is a way to give you problems with it, and that's really our philosophy basically. So I keep everybody guessing, and then you have some people who come and say, "Oh, Speid play now. Him just long ball him play." That's what you think. I play what I want to play.
So how do you get the players? So it's one thing for Speid to deploy something or provide information to the players. How do you get them to execute? Because sometimes, you know what? The best strategy doesn't get done because the execution is poor.
Yeah, but remember what Pep says too, a lot of time him tell the player them things where he not even know if they make no sense, but the player them believe.
Okay.
The player them, when I say something, the player them believe in, and I say it'll go work. And it work 9.5 times out of 10 anyway, so them believe. So
I
remember we were playing Golden Boy, and we were away and we needed a win. And we scored the first goal. And then the players them away, so the players them start to go back to the passing game. And I was saying to them, no. Press all the way. By the end of the half, we pressed all the way, it was 5-0. I mean, then we run out of steam and they scored 2 goals. But the whole idea was that, we did just in the middle of the game, we change up what our plan was. Because we just wanted a draw away. So but when I saw that we scored a particular goal, I said, okay, look like there's some spaces there. I mean, we didn't get to scout the team, so we had to be making it up as we go along. And we just changed our stance, and we got a 5-0 lead in the first half. So that's the thing those are the type of things that we look out for and exploit them. But in training, we would have gone through all those scenarios in training.
What differentiates your club? Is it Rudolph? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the system? Because you always have the youngest team. You don't have the resources like some clubs do, and yet you're still not only compete with them but beating them. So, what do you attribute that to?
I think it's the flexibility what we have in terms of how we play. And the truth is, I've learned a lot. When I say I've learned a lot, when you drop out of Premier League the first time, right? I took it personal. I say, something is my fault because I needed 2 points from 5 games and I couldn't get them and drop out of Premier. And I say it's my fault. And I've decided to study since. The other thing is that a lot of people believe that they know football. I am not going to say it's me alone know it because I have a lot of friends all over the world, which again, people think I don't have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends. A lot of time we would sit down and discuss certain things about the football. We look at people, team shape, how they defend, even Premier League teams, and we laugh and say that coach not forgetting to play base and how the backline raggedy. So when we discuss all of these things with other top people over the world, other coaches, I learn a lot from them. I mean, I pick up a lot of stuff. There's nothing new under the sun, So it's just for you to really figure out who have the answer for things. And I think that is one of the reasons why our team gets to do so good, because my knowledge would have increased by speaking to other people. In addition, at the club or at the club itself, because we have all of these coaches, sometimes I would pick 11 players, tell them what I'm going to do, and say, stop me from doing it. So you see that competitive edge is there right throughout throughout the day, in the mornings. So I would decide that I'm going to play a particular way, and I tell the coach, the other coach, okay, stop me from achieving what I want to achieve. So sometimes they win, and I mean, most of the time probably I would win, but as I said before, every single person, including my physio, have a coaching badge. So there's a lot of competition there, and to prepare a team, and we work very well together.
I know you just mentioned you have a lot of friends across the world. I thought your only friend was Rudolph, but that's just me. Just kidding.
That's true. I have a lot of friends in Jamaica too.
What are your goals for Cavalier Football Club?
What one?
What are your goals for Cavalier Club? Last year you've done well locally, right? And last year you had a tough time when you went up to play in the CONCACAF, playing against Cincinnati. It was a learning experience. First thing, what have you learned from that, and what will be different this time around when you play in a competition?
Well, first I must say the good part is that I had a good time against the Caribbean teams because I went to the final.
See, we never mentioned Caribbean teams,
I know.
The big boys. All right. Take credit to the Caribbean teams. Yes.
Yeah. But the first time I went to the Caribbean Cup, I didn't go past the first round. This time I went to the final because I'm learning as we speak. So I went up to Cincinnati, and they were just leaps and bounds ahead of us in certain things. I'm not saying as player. I thought after 6 goals, we gave away at least 4, to be honest.
Okay.
And then, so we'd have given away at least 4 of the 6 goals. And then the technology that they have, that is the most significant thing. They had somebody in the crowd filming the game, running it through some computer software, and they could tell the bench where all my weaknesses are.
Interesting. So how they do that? Which is, they have an AI that points out what formation, strategy, what is it pointing out?
Where the weakness is, who is coming out of position most, who is passing to who, and they were getting it in real time. That is the most significant thing I learned. And my thing is to say, we need to find a way to counter that, or we have to go find the equipment or something. So that is what I'm working on now, because that to me is what probably is the difference between us, between 3 and 6 goals. I'm thinking that.
Right. So someone has a question here, because I still have a ton of questions, but have you learned anything from, that's a difficult, you don't have to answer this question, but I'll put it up anyway. Have you learned anything from the Jamaica coach, I guess?
Oh, yeah. As I said before, I don't know how I want to put this, but the coach would have shown me his defensive systems and how he attacks. He would have given me all the players that he's scouting on a database, so I have all of that. So just in case he's not here, I can give it to the next coach. So I don't, run around my job, man. I make sure I get everything. So so yes, I've learned a lot from him. But I defend very different from how he defends. So you see there, and my team is one of the better defensive team, but he has a defensive system which I don't use. I use a different defensive system. So mainly because one of the moments of the game is transition to defense. And regardless of where it's in the books, my first rule is outnumber your attacker. So I defend different. So I would have known things that he does, but I don't really use them as such, you know.
So you're saying you attack with caution. You don't attack like Arsene Wenger. You attack with caution.
No, man, when we attack, man.
No, what I mean is that if you're gonna say, you know, when I defend, the defending is different. And I assume that you're saying I've embedded in my players that even though you're going forward, you gotta think defense when you lose the ball. Right?
Right away. Transition to defense, yes. Right. It's a moment of the game, yes. So we did that very well.
Attacking with no concept or idea that, you know what, I may never lose the ball, so it doesn't really matter of me running back. You got to think about, we may lose the ball, obviously positionally aware, and also think about what would we do if we lost the ball. It means we have to have more people behind the ball than in front of the ball.
Oh, yeah. We it's on our mind foremost. Once we lose the ball, what we do right away, because and it also, that is why we attack in a certain system where players are supposed to be in a certain places when we attack, because it makes defending easier if you lose the ball. Yeah, we think about that all the
time. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of Cavaliers, the future? Here's a question for you, because we saw that Man U. What happens if Speid leaves Cavaliers?
It would be a big
question. What succession planning are you have in place so that makes Speid replaceable, not irreplaceable?
No, it would be a big loss. I mean, I've done a lot of the hard lifting over the years, but I'm putting it on a footing that it can succeed, because, I mean, you know, right now, I must tell you that, like, we're buying a house, basically a 9-bedroom house, because we want the players to be able to have somewhere to stay. I mean, we're not trusting it or anything. There's plans for us to be the first club on the stock exchange, which we're working on that. That should give us some financial independence. So basically, I'm not trying to stick around there all the time. I'm really trying to still be the major shareholder, but other people come and run it. I'm just like, and I get to do other things, like doing what I do now, travel and do some other things. I still don't think Speid's story closed yet. I want to coach a national team. It may not be Jamaica. So there's a lot of things that I want to do before my story closes. So,
you know, I was going to get to that actually, but we'll transition to that at some point.
Yeah, but being at Cavalier forever is not something. I expect to be there at forever, but not in the same post. And as I said before, all the coaches are getting their badges and them have an idea of how to succeed. And I think it will be in good hands from technical point of view if I leave. Managerial, as I said, we have a chairman and we have other people coming on board. And we soon have other shareholders, people want to buy shares in the club. So it's not going to be a speed show forever, no.
So we should you know what, we don't have enough time to delve into some of that. The whole club ownership, shares, what shares entail, one investment. That may be a thing for another day. So here's the question for you. We can transition from Cavaliers, actually. First of all, yeah, well, tell me the Cavaliers not no money, but you buy 9-bedroom house. We understand that, you know? We understand that at all. But
no, the last 5 years. No, remember I told you that the last 5 years we do well. The last 5 years we have been selling players overseas.
Okay.
We probably send the most players overseas for the last 5. No, probably we send the most players overseas for the last 5 years. No, we're not getting a big $1 million sale, but we're plugging away, so we do make some money from that.
So let's transition to, and people want to talk about from Cavaliers to Jamaica football. How do you view the state of football in Jamaica?
Oh, I mean, it has never been better. No, it has never been better. I can give some metrics right off the bat. Remember, I was at this particular point in time, we already have our 2027 under-17 team in training, our 2026 under-17 World Cup qualifying team in training, and our 2025 under-17 World Cup qualified team in training, because World Cup will be every year after 2025. So we have one team 3 years out of training already. The team is on its way to Cayman to play in a tournament tomorrow, I think, Thursday. I don't even know which day it is now, because I'm traveling for 2 days. And then I am with the under-15 team that will play in 2026 in a tournament in Malmö in Sweden. Is the first Jamaica has ever sent a team to Europe for training purposes, a youth team. So we are there. The under 15 team, we have a lot of trips planned for them. Sorry, the under 17 team, which the players are 16 now, we have trips planned for them for the US and Europe too in the summer for them to get some preparation for World Cup qualifier 2020 next year, January. Our under 20 team went to Turkey, and you know that they are going to Mexico this week also to get some practice games for our under 20 World Cup qualifier. So this has been the first you could ever think of youth teams being so properly prepared. The National Academy, we established that this year, right? Which we employ coaches to work in the National Academy. So they are turning over every single page trying to find talent in Jamaica. We have one coach in each parish that would pay through the National Academy, right? So those are parish coach to find talent. We have 4 scouts across Jamaica that we pay again to find talent. So if you talk and the first elite youth tournament start about 2 weeks ago, which is at the under 17 level. So if you talk about development, and our biggest one that we work on for development will be the coach education. 700 B licensed coach, 200 C licensed coach, 700 D, 200 C, 100 B. We have 5 A licensed coach, 6 still doing it, and we have a course with 14 coming up to start next month. So at the grassroots level, this is really where we are putting some work for development of the country's nations football. That is unprecedented, never happened before. And if you go higher up, our Premier League at 20,000, over 20,000 person in the stadium. That again is because we revamped the Premier League, have an independent chairman. The clubs them own the Premier League. All 14 clubs are shareholder in it. So so I don't think football has ever been better from a development point of view in the country. Never.
So where are all these resources coming from to support the program? Because there's a lot. You're spending so many teams overseas. What you're doing at the local level, where you get all these resources from to do this?
Again, really. Again, a lot of it, even though I'm a technical committee chairman, I am the one who get the funding for it. Because as I tell you, I know people because I'm working at the world for long. So a lot of these, so like a TDS fund, I applied for that from FIFA and we were approved based on the strength of our application.
What's the TDS fund?
Talent Development Scheme.
Okay.
From FIFA. FIFA only had 25 coaches. A guy named Adhering, they sent one to Jamaica. So in our national academy, we actually have one resident FIFA coach in there. That FIFA pay him. I mean, we just pay for him in lodgings and in car, or FIFA actually pay the salary. So we have that person lodging in the club. We have identified 7 clubs in Jamaica: Mobile, Mount Pleasant, Cavalier, Arnett, Waterhouse, Harbourview, and Portmore, to be an extension arm of that national academy, to prepare players in the same way that national academy. Because as you know, it's one place that them can't prepare everybody. So, and we're trying to get some more people. So for Div, and as I said before, we applied for those money. Now we have an ambitious program, and I got the money to do it. So each coach only have to pay 5,000 Jamaican dollars to coach 500 primary school coach.
Right.
500 primary school coach. We're going to start in July to carry them up to the C license level next year, July, right? And I got the money to pay for them. So the coaches don't even have to pay for it. And that will bring us in line with primary school coach at the C license level in Europe. So I'm bringing them up in line with the European coach at the C license level. So all of those development is being taken place now. We have never been better. I'm just saying that you're still not going to see the fruits until probably 5-10 years still.
How do you keep it sustainable?
It will be sustainable. I mean, you always want me to leave JFF, but I don't know if I leave. But because as we know, all of these programs, and me and my technical committee put them in place. But I go out of my bones to get the money because I know the JFF don't have the money for normal for these things. So even the trip that is coming here is the TDS program, pay for the trip that come to Malmo. and pay for most of the trip that go to Cayman too. So it's not the JFF normal operation money. We source money different to do those things.
Okay. What's the biggest challenge in sourcing money? Actually,
I never have problem to get money.
It's an individual thing with you doing it versus it's more of a organizational approach to sourcing.
I don't know. Even when I was in Kasafa, I get the biggest sponsorship from Clara ever. I mean, I don't have problem sourcing money, because as I said before, and if they don't want to give me any money, don't make me work in your business. If you make me work in your business, you must give me money. You ask, you must give me money. I mean, I've always found that, because as I said before, I know a lot of people in the business world from when I used to work. Remember, it was a Gleaner. Remember, I say we know almost everything for everybody, right? So I know that.
We can't take a different direction about it. Leave it alone.
So no, but I don't have issues with that. And if you ask me to write a proposal, I know how to write a proposal. So I think it really hurt me some of my time with Cavalier, because people don't get Cavalier money doing it. But if you beg it for anybody else, then give me.
Because they know you're rich.
I'm not rich. Well, depends on where you call rich, because I was talking to my friend Paul there, and Paul says Speed, you're the richest man in Jamaica in football. And I said, Paul, you could have said something like that. Paul says Speed, but you know what, nothing. Well, all of them want what you have. And that was Paul's definition of rich. So
that's just not monetary rich is a different kind of rich. I hear you.
Yeah, that's Paul. But it's a good definition.
Yeah, here's a question on the street, which is, how long will FIFA continue to sponsor the TDS program? If you know that.
No, all right. So FIFA, well, FIFA got very scared, and I think them still scared that Europe and South America is the only two continents ever win the World Cup, and the dominance is just getting far and far apart. So they know that for the game to survive, they have to do something. So this is their thing. So I expect them. We got money from them in 2022-23, and we applied for 24. I expect it for last for a while, maybe a 5 years before anything else.
Right. Okay. How do you? So you're involved in Cavalier, JFF. Do you want thing now? How do you balance that? Because a lot of people struggle in life to balance juggling all these balls. How do you balance the responsibility between these different things you're involved in?
I don't think it hard. I'm more of a person who finds solution, And then that is probably why you have that perception. I mean, because sometimes I don't have a time for people who just want just waste time and talk about things that they don't know about. So me just get straight to the point. But that is something that I notice in me and developing up. I just got to problems and solve them quickly and move on. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But because I'm kind of trust my judgment so much, like I go right like 95% of the time. I really don't mind if I'm wrong 5% of the time, because that's how life go. So I kind of just make decisions and just move on. And I think that it helped me a lot to achieve all the more achieving that day.
So here's a question. Earlier in the conversation, you mentioned you have aspirations to coach, say, a national team. But I thought you had aspirations to run a national federation, i.e. Jamaica. So is there a conflict there in terms of, not the traditional conflict we'll talk about, but in terms of what you're trying to do before you check out of managing teams? So a federation aspiration is a bit different from coaching a national team.
Well, President Ricketts did ask me if I wanted to coach a national team or to be the chairman of the technical committee. The truth is, I thought I would help Jamaica better by being the chairman of the technical committee. That is why I chose that one. It's my curse. To be honest, I'm kind of good at too much things. But I was trained by FIFA to run a national association. I go through all the work, do all the training, because as I say, I like to get knowledge. So I can. Whether I will, I don't know, because remember, it's a voting thing. And you serve at the delegates' pleasure. So I don't know what life holds for me. I am not too concerned, though. Either way, I'll be satisfied. And I don't even know if I'll coach a national team in Jamaica, because the only other person offer me coaching job in the Caribbean, not in Jamaica. So I don't know what I'll be doing. But it's time I kind of get spontaneous. So I'm kind of all right with whatever come away, because now I have that tie down like I used to have when I used to work corporate.
So how do you manage the perception that Speed may be difficult to deal with? He's arrogant. He's dictatorial. How do you view those? Is that a reflection of who you are? Does that
No,
describe you? Is that who you are as
no,
a maybe not the professional environment, but at least in the sporting environment?
no. Everybody that play for Cavalier love me. Just ask them. Every single one of them. I am, and all the people that work for me, they work for me for years, like 10 years, 20 years. Me no lose employee basically. If me lose an employee, I must me find something for them better and say, go and go do that because that's better for you in your life. And you can ask most people who come across me, will work for me. It's me send them on and say, no man. All them want to stay, I say, no man, don't stay. Say your life better by going to do that. So it's two things. One, if you don't know what you talk about, me kind of will lose patience with you quick. Because you just don't know what you talk about. And Jamaican people always believe they know what they talk about. Jamaican people know every single thing. All good things we don't know them know. So the older I get, me start lose patience with you quick. The next thing, which is the most significant thing, I am progressive. So I'll be way ahead of you and you think you can keep up, and then I'll be way ahead of you. So it become a problem because I'm trying to always come with new things. Like the National Academy, come on. Nobody else think about those things. Nobody think about elite youth football. So when me I go that way, there's some people don't want to come, them are lag behind. When I was saying we need to mash up the whole Premier League Club Association and form a new one, and this is the route, people resent it. So the people who used to have power in there will have something against Speed because me I leave that. When we say tier 2, you have a whole people say no, they not play tier 2. I said, but FIFA recommend it, UEFA recommend it, CONCACAF recommend it, and the world recommend it. So why we no want to come? No, we just go ahead and do it because we know it's the best thing for Jamaica, right? So the other thing, some of it is a kind of grudgeful and bad mind thing, I think, because remember, I was always the treasurer at JFF, president at Kasafa, but Cavalier was in Sid Bartlett. Nobody never had nothing to say. Cam was in Sid Bartlett and the team never good. Once me start win now, and even when we come Premier League first and I batter down a second to last every year till we get relegated, nobody have no issue with Speed. But once Cavaliers start have issues now. So why is that mean that people want to sometimes take away my rights because them say if me defend my right, them are gonna say because me not JFF. So like the other day when we have a home game and me come with my bars them for use. If people must say them want to use for them ball them train with. You ever hear nothing go so my home game,
I did see an interview.
Right. So these are some of the things that people do, and then them pretend to me wrong. I'm not wrong. I just defend myself. No. These are the most important thing why I defend myself all the time. I coach young players. I hear the older players on the field and look at my young 15 and 16-year-old them and I tell them, say, you broke your foot by the match on your foot, broke, careful how you play against you, and intimidation. Even sometimes the referee tell my players them bad word, because they're so young. Hey, boy, you can't ask, who are going to take up for them? And one person can take up for them, and I mean, so me have to portray an image that nobody can trouble me or trouble my player. So my player them have it get testy enough to compete with those big name brand veteran. My player them know so them boss not afraid of nobody. So why should they be afraid of anybody? My player them know so them boss are gonna defend them. So
here's the question for you. Do you want to change the perception? That's the question.
It don't matter to me because to me everybody have their own journey. It don't matter to me really.
But isn't I'm not using the word fans, isn't the constituent perception in life in general, isn't that important to any person?
No, but people like me were trendsetters, so it go. People like me were innovative and gone.
Somebody say, Rudolph, that's arrogant to say it that way.
Is it how you position
things? Right?
I agree.
Euphemism better than being direct sometimes.
I agree. But I agree. You're right, say it arrogant. But look how much people are arrogant. I mean, what people are arrogant. But most of the people who achieve things, them are arrogant. But I don't think I'm arrogant in a bad way. if there's such a thing, what I do, I want to achieve something, I go out and achieve it. Me set me how me want to achieve it and me go and me achieve it. Other
Right.
persons have a problem, but I don't have a problem with what they achieve, I really don't. So I don't know.
But
Most of the
Rudolph, Rudolph, as you know, as you go up the ladder, you have to be able to bring people together, right? And you also have to be able to compromise. You have to find a way,
yes,
because if you have certain aspiration for a certain role, especially the zenith of an organization, you have to take a step back and figure out, look in the mirror and say, who am I as a person? One, I know I'm good at what I do. Then how am I perceived? Because you got to bring people along with you, especially people who may have the same level of ego and accomplishment that you do, or have aspirations like you do. So how do I bring the party along with me? Have you ever thought about things from that perspective? Because we talk about this sometimes. Actually,
funny enough, I think I bring people with me, even with my style. I think I bring a lot of people my way. Now, there's going to be the loud 5% that no
right?
matter what I do, them going to say something different. But the truth is, majority of people, and then a lot of time when what I was saying is proven right, they come around eventually. And look here, may I tell you something, you see? Say when almost 99.99% of person in a trouble with football at Jamaica, my phone them call. Some people not call me for years, and my
Right.
phone them call and ask me help them with a solution. And I always help them, Cranky. May I tell you why? You see, you're gonna say again, me arrogant to this,
No,
but me
no,
just have
come
to
here.
tell.
Something after you finish, but it's your
No,
show.
but why
Go ahead.
me gonna say it, Cranky? Because me have to just say it. Because it's one of the best way.
Manage
So
how you say it.
there,
Manage how you say it. Manage how you say it.
Cranky, there was an election and we win with a super majority. You think the
Yes.
people in vote and I was there. Them even give me and I was there. There's a reason because I am the one who will drive from Kingston go Montego Bay tomorrow morning to fix any football problem. I'm not lazy. I will drive go to anybody, any parish president call me now. As Mr. Speed, more you come meet with my staff and explain to them, or meet with my clubs and explain to them anything about football. I am the one going to be there. Just like that. Them do nothing each. And this has been happening for years. So when some people come in election and I run and start, a club will come, so speed, so we can't come at Kingston tomorrow because we're on a bus. We come at Kingston. We say, what do you mean you're on a bus? We don't have no money. Okay. What time you ready? Oh, bus are come. I'm telling you, this is what I do. That is why the people who matter will always support me because they know of the work that I've done and what I'll go to my way to do for them. Every single club. Anywhere they come from, them call me, come talk to them. Players, I am there.
So
Anybody.
this is not a lecture, but here's what a senior person told me once. Different persuasion, because I had some perspective like you do about certain things. Because it's almost like Jamaican innate thing. He said to me once, he called my name. He said, Bertram, being right doesn't always make you effective. And it took
True.
me a while to digest that, right? Because when I'm right, I'm right. We're not having an argument discussion. And what he basically was trying to tell me that, especially when you're right, is the time to be most humble because you're on the side of right. You don't have to beat me with it. You're on the side of right. Very important, actually. And I learned that lesson and I carry it with me throughout the rest of my
No,
career.
and you are different, And look here, you are different from me. The truth is that I have so much thing to do in so little time, which you alluded to. So some of the time
Right.
I can't go through all of the steps in with you.
Yeah.
And
I hear
I just have to make sure so what me I do get done and hope saying in the future people will see the reason why I was doing certain things. Because some of the time some people don't even want to listen either. Again, some people don't even want to listen. They're not interested in listening to see if there's any sense there.
Yeah.
I mean, people come with some ridiculous things and I'm looking and say, who those people talking about are talking to. So I am the first person so people who probably have an issue with me is people who don't have anything to do. So like, all right, let me give an example. Kanka find me $3,000 because
No,
they
when you
said
say
it's
$3,000, you have to be very careful. When you say
3,000 US dollar.
yes, you got to be
3,000
careful with that number because
because
Jamaican
them
dollars.
say
I say why you mention it, but anyway.
no 3,000 US. Or they find me 10,000 US where they for light and so in a park, I never good enough.
Wow.
So I there was some reporters who came but them wear them own branded gears now. Can look off of a strict rule say all of them must look uniform. So after the game come done, them look like them come in afterwards and just walk up and down in the playing area. But heroes are not supposed to be. So them see them and them believe it's a security breach. So they mention it and find me. So when I was talking to the reporters, them now, so listen, you can't come in here like that because the way you look like say you respond you to any particular group of worker. Them vex, but guess what? Them not pay the $3,000. So me just say that kindly to them, Kranky. After me tell them say them can and they still insist. You just tell me me just not know how.
I'm sure it's how the message is delivered. It's not the substance of the message, it's how it's delivered. If me say, you know what, I'm not coming here again, it's done. I'm not coming. First me say, you know what,
them don't care, man. Them don't care because I went to them nicely and they must say, but me not branded gears. But it's their brand. Them didn't put on like a bib for everybody. And that is how we are in Jamaica. We want to take away people's rights. And when people say, no, you can't do that, them have an issue with it. And that's what most of the time.
I hear you. Here's a question on the screen, which is a good question, which is the JFF under FIFA restrictions? It should say still. And if so, what are the prospects of getting off it? So
I think it's good. Yes. I think it's good. I mean, it's easy to get there and hard to come off. But we have done a lot of good things. We made a profit last year. We put in a lot of policies in place. Our account was out the 5th month this year. Last time it was out like the 11th month. Last time, it was out the 4th or the 5th month this year. So there's a lot of improvements, but it's going to take a while to work our way through. It's going to take a while to work our way through everything for them to be satisfied with everything because we worked so bad. But we're getting there, man. We're getting there.
A comment here by Princess Julian saying, how come Mr. Speid didn't become inter-president when Mr. Burrell died? He was certainly qualified and trusted. Interesting.
I wasn't even a director on the board at that time.
Okay. We won't spend a lot of time on that. So here's a point actually, and not necessarily a question, but a point, which is you have achieved a ton from a footballing standpoint. You have mentioned having aspirations. I'm gonna put my term to be a federation ahead of I'm gonna say Jamaica Football Federation because I'm not sure.
You said that. I didn't say that, you said it. I said a national coach.
I'm not sure what that national. No, you said national coach. I think and/or ahead of a federation, right? Which has to be Jamaica. Okay, let me put it bluntly. Do you have aspiration to replace Ricketts? Let me ask the question out loud.
You said that. I didn't say that. I said I want.
I'm asking the question. Would you like to be the president of Jamaica Football Federation?
Yeah, but I learned a lesson, you see. Never to run
yes,
down.
can I load? They couldn't hear you.
No, I said yes, but I learned a lesson. Never to run down posts. Even when I was a CASAFA president, I never campaigned for it. They just came and said, Speid is you. So if somebody come and says me, it's me. But I'm not going to put up myself and go and lick my chest and say, me must be it. I'm not going to do that. It have to be a majority of persons come and say, are you we want? And then I'll take it up. As I said before in a Kranky at the earliest, I have never applied for a job and I've never by myself put up myself to run for any football position, and I've held a lot. People always ask me to serve, and I've served, whether football or volleyball.
So I'm going to transition a little bit because we've talked a lot about the JFF, and I think some interesting points you bring out, especially about this sort of elite idea for young members, the grassroots aspect you talked about. As you go through this, I know it's late because I should say this, I appreciate Rudolph coming on because he's in Europe. It's 1:30 in the morning, but he's alive actually. So he probably is unlike me, who go to bed early, he probably go to bed late because he's still up buzz. But as you also mentioned throughout this whole conversation, is that you're a hard worker, you're a motivated person, and you have a lot of energy and you execute, which is good. So here's a question for you. So this is not only about a football show. What advice would you give to young individuals aspiring to become successful in accounting or in football, whether as players or in management?
All right. So the early years, you have to put in the work. I tell you, I have to put in the work. So I would work like whenever one of my things, I never used to miss a deadline as an accountant. I would work until 2 a.m. in the morning if I have to finish reports. I would stay at work and work hard, work weekends if I had to. But you know what? I never carry home work from I work from 18 years old. I never carry home work at home. I'll stay at work and do it late, but I'll never carry it home. I always find that you need that space in your life for refresh. You know, when you go home to your family, you know, it work a dip on your mind. So that is so I would kind of have it carrying home work and working and your family watching you. That I don't think that make it, and it's something that I've always practiced, right? Knowledge is very important. There's no shortcut to knowledge. That's probably should be your biggest job. Make sure you have the knowledge where you need. And if you can't find the knowledge, surround yourself with people who know. Right? So as I said before, when I was studying, I would study with all of the people that trying to do them chartered accountant. So I'd run in a good group of people. When I started the football now and serious about it, I'm always in coaches group. You know, other coaches talk about things and talk about everything. But knowledge is key. The learning to work smart come later after you have the knowledge and already did have the work ethics. I think the other part come later.
Okay. Now, very, very informative. How does Rudolph want to be remembered? What's the legacy you're trying to set? How do you, because we all want to be remembered in some way, shape, or form. How you want to be remembered? Because you and I talked about the soft skills part, and you've had a lot of accomplishment. And somebody gonna say, you know, Rudolph went this, but him this. Well, me when I'm say Kranky was just brilliant and he was wonderful and no bad things. So how you, how you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I read somewhere, and I don't know how true it is, that only, you know, only 250,000 persons will ever be remembered in the world.
That's probably
after
true.
them dies.
You're not even
I,
sure
think, I
that
don't remember. You read it?
that much, but then at least remember for a long period of time. Like you see Bob Marley.
Yeah, over a long period of time.
Yeah, over a long period of time. Yes.
History and those things will record. Yeah, I don't know if I'll make that 250,000. But you know, what I know is that yeah, people still remember Yagaro because them say him are the finest batsman ever just by watching at him. But you know, people always will talk about Phil Richards and Brian Lara because them record is so, you know, is there. You have to kind of decide eventually which one of them you want to achieve more. I want to be remembered as one of the person who, for a lot of things in a Jamaican football, I was one of them that got the first club licensing. I mean, that is me to enforce it. I mean, you know, so you know, the coaching thing. I want people to remember that when Jamaica made the big push, because I believe that Jamaica will be ranked in the top 20 in the world eventually after all our programs and work. Top 20. I'm looking for a top 20 ranking for Jamaica. And I want people to remember that probably Rudolph Speid did help in some way to get it there.
Why? Yeah, I said this the bar high enough because think about it. Everybody and their mom is trying to get to top 20, you know. And some have 10 times more resources than you do. But I do believe, though, as you're alluding to this in some respects, which is it's not just about resources, right? It's the strategic thinking. Yeah. And here's a question for you as you talk about that, which is, are there models out there that you believe that Jamaica can emulate to really advance in football? You got to think about facts and circumstances that, you know, you may not have the resources of the US or Europe, but there are other things you have that can help you progress, the country progress of football in the nation.
Yeah. So when I was doing my A licensing, I actually do, the person who actually studied was Richard Williams. You know who's Richard Williams? Serena and Venus' father. Yes. Everybody is on their speed. Why would you crazy go study that, man? I don't know if he had a theory, but he played out a particular theory. He did not know that Serena or Venus would become any good tennis player. He just saw Regina King on TV playing tennis and said, the girls is going to be like them. And him start early at 4-year-olds, start to train them, right? And they became world number 1 and world number 2, and probably arguably one of the best tennis player ever. You know, I believe that Jamaica has talent like rice grain. That's what I believe. So I believe if we harness it properly from an early age, with the proper training, with the proper coach, and that is why we're doing making sure that coaches are qualified from prep school. I want Ghana the days in Jamaica, where the groundsman, the PE teacher, coach football. That's what I want gone after Jamaica football, right? And that is what I'm working to go. Because I believe once we get rid of those, and from an early age, elite youth start have B license coaches. I want A license coaches coach scrimmage. That's what I'm aiming for. And once we reach there, so with our athleticism and our physical self, and Jamaicans have a thing about being good at most things that they do. I believe we can be in the top 20. And that's what I'm working the hardest for.
You have a timeline for that top 20. You have a timeline. Is it before I leave the earth, or is it during my lifetime?
I have to do it before you leave the earth, Kranky. So I'm saying by 2030, that's what I'm looking for.
That's not far, 6 years is right around the corner.
Yes, 2030, that's what I'm looking for. In the top 20. Well, I would take, if once we're not anything near 20, so whether 19 or 20 something, me take the same way. But me want something 20 behind Jamaica name whenever in the next by 2030.
Here's a question that's been bugging me for a while. I forgot to ask this. I asked it during the chronologically how we're talking. We don't, and this is a Caribbean question actually, but I'm going to focus on Jamaica. We don't produce, I went way back. We don't produce excellent midfielders.
Yes, but I know why.
So what's the rationale? I can think about the Fullers, the Sheltons, the Lows. We can think about forwards who have done well internationally. Even the players who come from Jamaica who didn't play for Jamaica, Sterling, Barnes, Linda LaPena from way back when. All these players play more up front, right? Now you're going to give me the athleticism thing, and my question is, how do I harness that to be able to think and play in the middle of the park?
I wasn't going to give you that. So
okay, good.
You did ask my question and I never finished answer. So the country that I think we should emulate is France.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Okay.
And because they look like us, and they have also instituted a national academy too.
They had it for a while now, actually.
Yeah. So I think and it cancel the dividends. So I think they are the ones. All right. So what the reason why we don't have enough midfielders is because football is really played in moments. So you need somebody to be that conductor. Football is played in moments. Not care how good a team is. If they don't know who good the players are, if they don't know if they play in moments, they will lose to teams that know how to play in the moments. So what happened is that because there's a number of reasons. One, our players was never coached properly from they were very young. That to me are the biggest impediment. That are one. Two, we now have nothing on surface for try control games. The coach prefer tell you say, just kick it down the field and we could play from high up the pitch. So that are two. But because we never know about how to play in the moments, then we have never developed a player who know how to attack, who know how to defend, when to attack, when to defend properly, when to transition to attack, and when to transition to defense. So that is something that we have never taught in Jamaica, and that more is controlled by midfield players. And because of course the flank players, the balls usually attack down the middle, and that's where you have to make the proper decisions, right? More than on the flanks. So we're always be able to get where we go into trials overseas and play wing back, and maybe centre half, and maybe forward or wing. But when you have to think out the game, it's not because we're not in a brain. It's really because nobody coached those players from at a young age to think out the game like that, and that is the reason why I think we're not in midfielders.
So how do you, as you go ahead and evolve the program, Jamaican, some of the things you're doing, is there any part of the concentration, things that you concentrate on? Because we have a even the national team today, even from overseas, frankly, if you look at overseas and the players we source from overseas who are no Jamaican nationals, we still don't have midfielders we have forwards at the highest level. We don't have midfielders at the highest level.
No, yeah, but look at young Adhering Reid, which I put in last year final and this year final. He's probably one of the midfielders who get it, and that is why you notice a playing, because when I look at even much older players and I look at what he does in a midfield, as a matter of fact, if you notice how he plays, he doesn't try to go for glory. He do all of the little work first, here and there, defense, pass the ball one time. If glory come, he takes it. But that's not his mentality. He's just the right temperamental, and I am happy that Algrimson see that in him, because I have seen it in him from like years ago, even as a 14-year-old. I'm saying this boy don't ordinary. So I'm hoping that with him, he's the first coach pick such a young player in that position. Other players will start to try emulate him and start to see what he does, and we kind of help move up from there. You're right. Jamaica just don't have that midfield player for a variety of reasons. But I think it's coming, because now, even from a D license, we teach a coaching about playing in the moments, right? And then I think they will start to impact it, pass it on to young players, and which can be further enhanced as they come up. So I am happy that we'll get there soon.
Anything else you want to leave as we conclude this discussion? One of a number of them we'll have. Um, as we conclude discussion, anything else you want to leave the audience with? We have gone through your history from birthplace of birth to where you are today. Anything else you want to leave the audience with before you go?
Yeah, I think Jamaica also is in a much better place because of the programs that we're trying to do. I also believe that me know me I have a whole heap of differences about a whole heap of things, but I just believe that is a burden that I have to carry right now for the betterment of Jamaica, and I am willing to carry the burden. If you notice, 3 years ago we had C license. I was the first one to go out there and do the A, make sure we reach the A and do the work first. So now everybody get jealous. I mean, sometimes you have to drag up, because it's difficult to push people some of the time. Sometimes pushing is harder than dragging. Um, you know, Cavalier, I believe that more young people should get opportunities to play. If you notice in Denmark, it's pure young people playing. Again, I just make sure say me go up front again and play the young people so other people can see the benefit of playing young people. Taking the risk, because it could have got horribly wrong for me too, But I decided to take the risk to kind of drag up again. And if you notice in the last couple of years when most people falter, even I mean I didn't win at CONCACAF, but the Caribbean again, Cavalier was there playing their part to keep Jamaica on the map. Again, when we were looking at coach, I was the one who went out and found Al Grimson. I know of the risk because people are saying you're going to somebody from Iceland. I mean, give me somebody from Brazil or Argentina or England or
Spain,
so.
Spain. But keep going. Spain.
Yes, yes, right. So I am somebody that don't mind taking the risk, and I know that some of the time I might fail, but I always think that the risk, that I take outnumber. I have more benefits, and I might get some of it wrong, but me get to learn to trust myself from, from an early age. Say me make decent decisions. So one or two were wrong, but I think overall, what I would have achieved would outweigh whatever I've gotten wrong. So as I say, I am a nationalist, and when Jamaica call, I'm the first to put up my hand.
Yeah. Well, Rudolph, I appreciate you being here. As I said, you're the first person I've interviewed on the program. So that's an achievement. So when we get big, you can't say, well, you're the first one and you make it get big. But anyway, I appreciate you being here. And most of all, seriously, people, Rudolph is in Europe. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. And you see, he spent time with me here. And it's an interesting interview because I didn't get bored throughout the interview. It was really interesting. A lot to say about a lot of different things. Part of my objective here is for the audience to get to know the persons who they see in the public domain. I may not have a good insight in terms of what influenced the person, where they're coming from, what informs them, and what their trajectory is and where they're going. So, Rudolph, appreciate it. Hope the team does well in Europe. So you have the what, under 15?
Under 15s.
Yes, I hope they do well. Hope they play well.
And if it doesn't, it's fine because we would have been able to figure out what the gap is.
All right.
Either way is a win-win, I think.
Yeah, get some sleep. Get some sleep.
I
You
will.
still look like you can go for another 2 hours and get some
Yes.
steadily and get some sleep. All right, Rudolph. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. All right, people. That was the coach, manager, major shareholder for Cavaliers, entrepreneur, former Gleaner employee, and the current head of technical committee for the JFF. I think he's an interesting interview. I think he's a complex personality. I thoroughly enjoyed the interview, by the way. I thought it was really easy because he's a very informed person and he always works well when people are informed when you talk to them. Sorry about the Drew Ross. I should have asked him about that jersey for you. I don't know if you were going to buy it or you want to just give you one free. I'm not sure how that works. But no, it's a really interesting discussion. I'm glad he was my first interview because I have a lot of respect for Speid, actually. I've watched him, I've observed him, and I know that he has certain things that people complain about. They think he's arrogant. They think he's maybe difficult. But I do think those which may be perceived to be negative are far outweighed by his contribution to the business community and his contribution to Jamaica football. And my hope is that he will also learn as he goes through his journey to balance some of those things, because I think Jamaica benefits quite a bit from him and his contribution. And the proof is in the pudding in his accomplishments in the different arenas he functioned in. But I'm glad he came on. I'm sure we'll have some other future conversation. I want to expand upon the discussion, frankly, about midfielders, because I think in the Caribbean, it's hard for me to recall any brilliant midfielders. You know, I talked about the forwards in Jamaica, for example, like Shelton and Fuller and Lowe, and even those who are not play for Jamaica, like Sterling and Barnes. And if you go to Trinidad with Stern John and Dwight York, the only good midfielder I can remember, frankly, in English-speaking Caribbean was probably Versatility. And I think he only played in Scotland. So he didn't play, to me, at the highest level. Went to the World Cup, obviously. So the question is, what is it that precludes us from producing brilliant footballers? But I'm encouraged, frankly, by what Rudolph talked about, which is they're taking a step back and being strategic about how we go about with the football program. They're going to grassroots. And most importantly, they're educating the educators, which is key for any success, whether it's the academic environment or in the sporting environment. The educators who are teaching you have to be informed personnel with the right education, the right accreditation to be able to impart knowledge to you. And this is important. So I'm truly happy about that directive and that direction. You're not going to talk about other things. You know, we have this back and forth with him, at least I do, about overseas, local, the concept of quotas and all that. And we'll have discussion in future years. But I think his heart is in the right place. And as such, you have to give him the credit that he deserves. And sometimes, you know, we all deserve criticisms. And sometimes he deserves some of that. But I think on a net basis, he's truly positive for the football. And hope that we have others like him who are contributing. And as Princess Gillian says, who are innovative. You want thought leaders. You want people who are innovative. You want people who are going to challenge you to be successful, who have been tried and tested. And I think Rudolph exhibits some of those qualities. Now, if you want to call in, as I said before, I'm not doing this 1 2 hours. I have 30 minutes left. And I'm going to post the number. Let's see, I'm going to try to post the number here. At least I try. The person is not posting, so I'm not sure what I did wrong. But I want to post my phone number, which is 347-728. I'm not sure when I did my number. 347-728 8625. There's the number. I finally got it done. You know, I'm learning this whole thing. If you want to call in, you can call in. We have about 12 minutes remaining, and now we have about 22 people in the audience. If you want to call in, we can talk. I think Rudolph did a brilliant job of trying to go through what we talked about this evening. If you're going to call in, your reaction to it, anything that you may want to add. And by the way, I'm trying to do this on a daily basis, but that may not work out because I'm telling you, this is much more than I bargained for. But tomorrow, I do want to talk about a couple of things. One is the ongoing Cricket World Cup, touch on that somewhat. The NBA Finals coming up on Thursday between Dallas and Boston. And that should be an interesting series for the final. And talk about that somewhat. But also talk about Jamaica playing Dominican Republic on Thursday and have some discussion about the game, the coach, predicted lineup, things of that nature. So if you want to join me, I will be here. We can have that dialogue. You can call in. We can have fun. But if you want to call in before I close off, the numbers run across the street. It's 347-728-8625. And we can have a quick, how much minutes left? 11 minutes. I normally try to close out 8. If there's no one to call in, I'll close out the program before then. But I do want to spend time actually not just focus on Jamaica football. I have a larger interest in the Caribbean at large, globally, frankly, but also in the Caribbean, because I think one of the things that I realize is that we are so decentralized when it comes to certain things in the Caribbean. The collation doesn't occur the well as it should, just how people get together. We are sort of spread out, and we're small people. We all speak the same language, of similar persuasion, and yet we're not working as a collective. Rudolph alluded to this. In Europe, I mean, they have Western Europe as one organization, basically, even though the UK pulled out of it or England pulled out of it, but they sort of operate as one, and especially in things like their economy and football. And why can the Caribbean do more of that activity? Because it's smaller countries, and as a collective, I'm sure they could do much better than it's done individually. So my hope is that more of this will come to bear, and people be less parochial, but try to help each other to achieve a common objective. So hopefully, over time, that will change, and people work more together to achieve a common goal. So I'm going to close out the program now because I don't see any calls coming in. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here. And before you go, hit that subscribe button and join me here. I'm at 6 o'clock, at least for this week, each evening, talking to you about the world of sports. And I'll go out by, I spent some time putting together what do I call it? With a 90s rhythm, a song for my channel to promote my channel. I won't play that this evening. I played that yesterday, so I'm trying to do different days. I'm playing different things, but I'm going to do the promotional song. But the other song was more of an introduction. It was 3 minutes long, a little bit long for introducing YouTube channels. I think the standard means that you should do between 10 and 30 seconds. I don't necessarily follow the norm most times. I do my own thing sometimes. And you try and test it so it's going to be effective. So hopefully I'll do that tomorrow again. But as we go, my final perspective is thanks for being here. Love having you. Thanks for contributing to the discussion. And have a wonderful evening. And I'll go out with my promotional video. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Welcome to Kranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey, sports fans. I am Kranky, and this is the Kranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Kranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out, subscribe now to the Kranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Kranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.